Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we are currently in a position where our forest tiles are generating nearly completely. Now, there is this coloration on the road tiles that I'm not amazingly happy with, and we'll probably do something about that actually right now. But before we do that, I did want to mention that at the end of the last session, I had an idea for a third building type. I mean, they're not all buildings for the forests, which was a public game object cabin. Now, the cabin, I think, should probably have about, if I come down to where it actually generates them here, right here. So we have our clearing that spawns here. And the question then is, what if roughly... What if we increase the clearing chance by roughly double? So, well... What if we increase it just slightly? So, make it be a 25% chance of a clearing. But now, we'll do another roll here, and we'll say roll equals, and this will be... What do I do with the roll? Here. Actually, yeah, we'll do another roll. So roll equals random.range, and this is going to be between 0 and 101. Again, not 1010, but 101. And we'll give it, say, a 33% chance right now, but we should probably not hardcode these. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off of here, and actually we're in a float, aren't we? Yes, we are. So 0F and 100F. So up here, I'm going to go ahead and put in a forest chance under the... Let's put in a new header, and let's call this header map generation odds. So public float forest chance equals 75F. So it's a 75% chance of a forest. And then public float cabin chance equals, and we'll make this be, say, a 33% chance of a cabin. And I added in the cabin up here, I think. Yes, I did, but we did not really implement it very much. So back down here, when we're generating our forest, we can then just say, if roll is less than cabin chance, then rather than doing this, and in fact we can just do an else, and place the clearing inside of the else, like so. So if the roll is less than the cabin chance, then subhexes i.building equals buildings.cabin. Okay. Now, obviously, that's not going to do anything. Also, we're going to have to assign the building here. So, building equals cabin. Okay. So that's going to error out. And it's currently going to say, well, you don't have a cabin. And it's right, because we don't have a cabin. So let's go ahead and fire up Blender here. And I'm gonna start with the forest tile. And then I'm just going to... Actually, I'm going to use the forest generator. And I'm going to get a slightly different seed here. There we go. And then let's just go ahead and apply this. There we go. And Control J, all of those together. Excellent. Now we don't need the hex on the ground, but I'm going to leave it there for now. And I'm also going to turn screencast keys back on because I'm really bad at doing that. Add-ons, screencast key. Nope. Screencast keys. Also, I like the Crusader Kings music. A little loud. There we go. Bump that down ever so slightly. So there's our screencast keys, and we can now turn that back on, so you can now see what buttons I'm hitting again. Excellent. So let's go into our wireframe mode with Z, and I'm just going to grab a section of trees in the center here, roughly square, like that. Now, as you can see, that only grabs part of some trees, but I'm going to hit Control L to grab all linked trees. And then I'm just going to delete those. Oh, we didn't remove the particle system? Yeah, we didn't remove the particle system. And then I'm going to do save as, and this is going to be cabin.blend. Excellent. Now, let's see if I messed this up. So we're going to import the cabin. I may have accidentally mashed Control S on the forest generator at some point. I think I did. But it looks fixable. So I'm gonna just select all of these with Control L, delete the vertices, and yeah, we're back to normal now. Okay, so this cabin then. So we've got this going on. We probably want to remove these trunks that were technically not connected to the trees that we removed. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, Control L to grab those, delete the vertices. There we go. Okay, so I also think we should remove this tree. And now we've got ourselves a bit of a clearing here to build a cabin in. Maybe this tree as well. Let's also remove this tree. There we go. I'm also going to move this tree. I'm not going to remove it, but I'm going to move it to be right about there or so. So it's a little bit less clipping. Same thing with this one. I'm going to just move this ever so slightly in this way. This tree here can probably be safely removed. It's not really adding much to the forest around it. Honestly, same with this tree. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this one too. And this guy right over here, this little one. I feel like that's not really adding anything. And this one. Okay. Yeah, that feels fine. So here we have ourselves a little clearing, and then we're going to put a cabin into it. And I'm going to pull up a quick reference image of a cabin. Let's see here. Cabin. Images. Hang on, this is the wrong browser. Why am I using this browser? Let me use this browser. Cabin. There we go. Images. So I'm just looking for a pretty generic looking cabin here, and let me pull this on in here. This is just to reference and base it off of. This one is kind of generic looking-ish. Some of these are definitely more than I'm looking for. And I'm not going to make this super high poly either. And it's not going to be super detailed at this point. It just needs to be, you know, essentially effective. I'm kind of currently leaning towards this one. It's got probably more windows than I would do, but I like the roof, the roof shape here, and I would probably just mirror this, but without the porch on the other side, and then we've got the chimney there. Yeah, this seems fine. So let me just pull up the actual image here. Okay, so this is pretty much what we're going for. You can see there's a kind of rectangular structure here. The porch is a little inset rectangle, and then the whole thing is a rectangle. So let's start with that. So let's go ahead and create a cube. There we go, we're done. Perfect. No, I'm just kidding. That is absolutely not done. I'm just going to shrink this cube on down to be about the right size. That's probably way too tall. Let's grab this down here and bring it on up. Realistically, we want this Z position to be at exactly 0. And then as far as the positioning of this thing goes, I kind of want it to be a little skewed, so not exactly in line with anything. Place it kind of like that. And then I think that it's maybe a little too fat. So I would like to scale it along its x-axis, but the rotation is the rotation is already applied. In that case, we can just grab these two and scale them together, like along the normal. That's not what I wanted to do. It's not actually allowing me to scale it along the normal. It's a little odd. Probably because I put in the rotation. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to remove the rotation for now. Actually, I'm going to make this be its own object. So I'm going to split this out. And then we've got... It didn't split. Okay. Part of it split. We didn't get the top face. That's fine. We can replace that. No problem. We also don't need a bottom face. We do need the vertices, but not the face. Okay. Wait. Uh-huh. Do we have some doubles here? No. Oh, the face didn't split out. Gotcha. We can safely delete those vertices. Okay. Excellent. Now I'm going to unrotate this. So I'm going to just rotate this back to be about where it was. It doesn't actually have to be perfect. Close enough. Okay. Now we're going to make it perfect. So I'm going to go into edit mode here, into vertex select, and we're going to scale this along the y-axis down to 0. Same thing here, y-axis 0. Here will be x-axis 0, and this one will be x-axis 0. And now it's perfectly squared up again. Excellent. So now I'm going to go ahead and shrink this thing down a bit, make it slightly more rectangular. I think 0.8 is a good amount. And then I'm going to re-rotate it the 12 degrees or so, 12 to 15 degrees it was this way. I like 15. I think that's good. Okay. So the next thing is, there's probably going to be some way to get to this cabin, right? And I think that this is a nice little path that's already started if we just remove this one tree. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these vertices, and there we go. We now have a little path to our cabin. It doesn't necessarily have to be a path or anything, but it's fine. Okay, so let's now start creating our roofline structure shape here. And maybe we just want to have it go... It be this little almost horizontal portion, and then this peak, and then it just goes back down to the edge. I think that's probably going to be the best plan there. So I'm going to go ahead and create 2 edge loops here. Like so. And then this edge here, we can just go ahead and lift up about 0.15. There we go. And this one will lift up ever so slightly, because if you look at our reference image, there is a slope there. It's not anywhere near as steep of a slope, but let's grab this and raise this up to about 0.025? No, 0.025. 025. There we go. Yeah, that seems okay. I'm also going to lower this down about the same amount, 0.025, and I'm going to bring this back down about 0.015. So that this section is actually lower than this section. There we go. Okay, so what other major structures do we have here? Well, we've got the actual porch. So in order to do that, we're going to need to create an edge loop right down the center here. And if you look at our reference, it certainly looks like the porch is about half of this. So that's basically perfect. We can then grab this face here, extrude that, and scale that down to be about 0.9, I think is good. And then I'm going to extrude that inward to be right where this roof shape is. So I'm going to grab that to right about here. And then I will make sure that that's in exactly the right place by zooming way, way in. And let's just see. That's very, very close right there. Close enough. Okay, so it kind of looks like a garage right now, which isn't really what we're going for. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this face, just the face. Same with this face, and with this face. Okay, so now we've got this nice little ramp here. And the question is, do we actually want a ramp there? The answer is probably not. It looks like there's a little concrete step. So let's just go ahead and move this guy over to be at exactly the local Y value of this here. There we go. So now that's flat. This and this will also have to move to that same local Y value. And then we can create ourselves a structure there. And then we can delete, and actually I'm going to go ahead and hide these trees. They're kind of in the way. There we go. And we can delete these faces here. And extrude this down to be at this Z position. There we go. And there's a roof face. Extrude down again to be at this Z position. Whoops. There we go. Excellent. And then go ahead and put in a face there and extrude this down to be then at this position. Because this here is a concrete foundation. So we'll have that, and then extrude this down once again to be at 0. And essentially, we want to grab this Z position, and maybe actually move it slightly. And we want to do basically the same thing over here, but we'll get to that in a moment. So let's have this Z position instead of 0.0987 or 0.009869. Let's have this actually be 0.01. It's very, very close, but not quite the same thing. Okay, let's grab all of these foundational vertices over here and have these be 0.01. 0.01, not 0.10. No, 0.01. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete this vertex here. And then the question is, what kind of shape do we want to have on this roof? I don't know yet. I'll deal with that in just a moment. So let's go ahead and get our concrete foundation in here. I'm just going to extrude all of these down to the 0 position. So right there. And here's our concrete foundation. Do we want this sticking out a little bit? Let's take a look at our reference. It looks like the concrete foundation doesn't really stick out. In fact, it looks like the foundation only exists for the porch here, but we're going to deviate a little bit. That's fine. I also want to take a quick look. Yeah, this is at an angle here. So rather than this being straight down, it's actually at a bit of an angle. I'm going to go ahead and move these vertices here to this, I think, local Y position. Yes, to this local Y. This local Y. There we go. Okay. So, we are also going to be needing a little bit of a roof overhang. So I'm going to delete this base structure over here, and we'll redo that. So let's extrude this down to be at this Z position. There we go. Same thing here. I mean, essentially, we are just making this be symmetrical with this over here that we created. It does bear noting that we don't have the same roof structure over here, and I'm going to go ahead and create that, actually. So let's go ahead and extrude this down to the same Z position. There we go. And this guy, and then one more to the same Z position, and we want this to be at this Z position. Okay. There we go. Excellent. So we probably... yeah, that's right. I hate this. The fact that this is slightly below this. So let's bring this on up to be at the same level. There. Much more square. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in these faces. And honestly, the base iteration of the cabin is pretty close to done, but I'm going to spend a few more minutes on this before we try to implement it into the actual game. We do have a couple of things that we're going to be needing. Obviously, there are supports here. We don't have any. They actually don't have any here, which is a little intriguing. I think I'll have one in the corner for sure, and then maybe one here and one here, or one here, two here and one here. I don't know. Yeah, they don't have any on this side. They just have the 3 here. Okay. Well, we can add those in easily enough. I'm going to go ahead and add a circle, and we don't need 32 vertices for sure. I think I'm going to do a hexagon. And we're going to scale that guy right on down. And it does not need to be at that location. Okay, let's just place this somewhere around here, but it needs to be substantially smaller. So somewhere right around here or so. Maybe set it back a little bit, like that. And set this to 0.01. And then just extrude it up. And we do need to flip the UV direction on this. So let's go ahead and flip. And there's 1. And then I'm going to Shift D to duplicate it and move it along the Y here. I'm going to place this right about here, so about 0.1 apart. Along the local Y again, another 0.1, and then I think I'm just going to call that good for the supports. I think that'll be enough. Yeah, because this is kind of an entryway here, and then you've got this over here. That seems fine. Okay, so I'm going to inset these from the roof slightly, but we also need to have this structure going along up here. So let's go ahead and delete all of these on both sides. So I'm going to delete these faces. I'm also going to delete these faces. And what is the edge length here? Let's find out. The edge length is that same number. Okay, let's take a quick look here. Let's set this to be at 0.2. And then this, including the vertices in here, to be at 0.19. So that way it's the same 0.01 number. And then we'll take these vertices here, all of those, and extrude them down 0.01. There we go. Now we have that structure. Excellent. Then we just need to create this. And then this is a triangle, as is this. Extrude this up to here because we lost this vertex apparently. Oh, that was the wrong one selected. There we go. And then something along the lines of that. That will allow us to extend the roof out beyond where the structure actually is. Which is great, because that's how roofs work. Okay. There we go. Now let's do the easy one. So let's just take these 3 vertices, or rather these 3 faces, and just extrude them out, I don't know, 0.01, that same amount. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so that's extruded out there, and then extrude this out as well. 0.01, perfect. And also, we don't have these faces. Okay, there we go. Perfect. There are a few things we still need to do. We need to add a few windows, we need to add a few doors, we need to extend out the roof in this direction. So that is what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to grab these vertices here, and these vertices here, and extrude them, but not like that. Select individual origins, extrude, there we go. 0.01, that same amount. Now, the next thing that you'll notice is that extruded straight out, because these faces were straight. We don't necessarily want that. We want to match this angle as closely as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and go into front ortho is indicating to me, oh, it's because we're slightly askew. In fact, I'm going to, for right now, bring this back so that we're properly front ortho. There we go, that's more like it. And I'm just going to try to match this angle as best as I can. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. And of course, this one over here needs a substantial change, whereas the one over here needed a relatively minor one. So let's just go ahead and drop this right on. Whoop. Grab the vertices. Grab all the vertices. There we go. Let's drop this right on down to about there. Actually, that might not be quite enough. Yeah, right about there. Okay, so that's a good start. It's not quite done yet, but it is time to put a cut in, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode we will finish this cabin and implement it into the game. See you all then.